Santa, Please Bring Me a Gnome by Anne Swartz and Aline van Lindenhuizen. Tess, feel how soft he is, Mom says, taking a giant teddy bear in her arms. And look over there, that little doctor's bag, or that toadstool. What a cute lamp. Tess shrugs. She already knows what she's going to ask Santa to bring her. Granny, will you write my letter to Santa? Of course, Grandma says. Dear Santa, Tess starts. You don't have to bring me any toys this year. Grandma lays down her pen. Did I just hear that right? She asks. But Tess continues. The only thing I want is a real gnome. Gosh, says Grandma. That's the best wish ever. Grandpa, I need a lot of things, Tess calls out as she runs into Grandpa's shed. A small bed, a small table, a little chair, and wardrobe. Wow, Grandpa laughs. Are you going to redecorate your room? Tess beams. No, Grandpa, it's not for me. It's for my gnome. A gnome? Grandpa repeats. Then we need to get cracking. Grandpa makes the sweetest little pieces of furniture, and Grandma sews a teeny tiny patchwork quilt. She gives Tess a ball of cotton, too. Then he has something soft to sleep on, she smiles. And as Tess puts the furniture in the dollhouse, she thinks about how fun it will be to have a friend with her always. A friend to go to school with her, and to dance class, a friend to sit on the swings with, to do crafts with, to eat with, and to read with, a friend she can even take with her in the bathtub, and into dreamland in his own little bed. Santa is coming tonight, and so is the gnome. He'll probably be hungry after such a long trip, so Tess puts out a slice of orange for him. We're very curious to see what Santa is going to bring you, says Dad. Don't you want to tell us what it is yet? No, but I'm sure you'll love it as much as I do, Tess laughs. The following morning, Tess wakes up with butterflies in her belly. Santa was here last night. Full of anticipation, Tess comes down the stairs. Oh, the dollhouse is empty. All the furniture is gone. Tess feels tears pricking her eyes, but Mom points to the corner of the room. There's a big glass box in the corner filled with sawdust, and next to the box there's a letter. Shall I read it to you? Mom asks. Tess can only nod. Dear Tess, you are a very sweet girl, and I really wanted to bring you a gnome, but it just didn't work out. Let me tell you why. Gerard the gnome was looking forward to coming and living with you. His little suitcase was packed and ready to go, but then someone knocked on his door, and there stood Flannel. With trembling whiskers and moist eyes, his home was destroyed and his winter stores stolen. He sprained his little paw and had a bad cold, and, in short, all the bad luck that can happen to a hamster happened to him. So Flannel really needed a nice, warm place to stay with someone who would take good care of him, and that's why Gerard the gnome thought of you. Tess looks curiously into the box. Oh my, the little quilt is moving. And oh, look at the sweet little face that appears. Hi, Flannel, Tess says softly, at which the hamster looks at her with shiny little eyes. Tess gets a warm feeling inside. How kind of Gerard the gnome and Santa. Tess and Flannel become the best of friends. When Tess puts her hands in the box, the hamster crawls into the palm of her hand. And as she tells Flannel what happened at school and in dance class, she softly pets him. He loves that, and he listens like a real friend. Okay, let's get started making or drawing your own gnome for the holidays. To draw your gnome, you really only need a pencil and a piece of paper. I'll show you how to make one out of the printed Christmas paper at the end of the video, but for now, I'm just going to show you how to draw a basic gnome. Any piece of scratch paper will do because you'll probably want to practice the technique a couple of times to get your gnome looking like you want. Okay, so the first thing to do is to draw the gnome's hat. To do that, you'll start with 3 dots in a triangle shape. It really depends on the size of your paper, how far apart you place your dots. The farther apart your dots, the larger your gnome is going to be. Remember, this is just the hat, and you'll want to leave room at the bottom of your paper to make the gnome's beard and body. So, 3 dots in a triangle. The apex or top dot will be the tip of the gnome's hat. So the higher your top dot, the taller your gnome's hat will be. Next, just connect the 3 dots with wavy lines. You can make the bottom line curve up a little if you like, but drawing a squiggly straight line, a straight squiggle line across is fine too. Once you're done, you'll have a gnome hat that looks like this, okay? That was pretty easy. Let's move on to make the beard. Now, to get started with the gnome's beard, you'll make another dot farther down the page. It should line up more or less with the top dot or the top of your gnome's hat. You'll see you've kind of created another triangle with the dots you used to make the bottom part of your gnome hat. Draw another wavy line from the bottom dot of the gnome's hat down to the dot you just made. So you start that squiggly line and go down. Do this on both sides, and now you have a gnome hat and his beard. It's really starting to take shape. It doesn't really start to look like a gnome until you draw his nose. So draw a big circle about in the middle of under his hat. Gnomes often have their hats pulled down over their eyes a bit, but you can add eyes if you want to. Next, you'll start to draw the gnome's body. Come down to about the middle of his beard on either side and start drawing his body. You're just going to come down on either side. The gnome's body is just a simple shape, just kind of a narrow and rounded off U shape or happy face. And you're done. You can stop here and color your gnome or follow on to the next few steps to make his arms, hands, and feet. To make arms or sleeves for your gnomes, you draw slightly curving lines down. Start at the spot where you began drawing his body, draw out just a bit, and then curve down. Do this on both sides. Once you have the sleeves as long as you want, just draw a straight line over to the body on each side. The hands are just half circles. Start at the bottom of the sleeve in about the middle, maybe a little less, and just curve a line to the body, and you'll do this on both sides too. If you want to give your gnome little feet, half circles at the bottom of his body will do the trick. Lots of gnomes have little mustaches too. To draw one on your gnome, just draw a wavy curving line from one side of his nose around to the other side. And now he has a cute mustache. Now you can decorate the hat with lines or stripes or polka dots or however you like. You can also add a curving line to make his coat opening and add some small circles for buttons. And that's it. You've drawn a cute gnome of your very own. Isn't he cute? Remember, it doesn't have to come out perfectly the first time. Just replay this video and give it another try. Once you have the technique down, you can really go wild. Now I'm going to quickly show you how to make a gnome for the holidays out of printed paper. Get some holiday themed scrapbook paper or even some wrapping paper and decide which paper will be the hat, the nose and hands, which will be his beard, and which will be the coat. Then it's just basically the same technique, only you're drawing it a bit at a time on each piece of paper. It's the same technique, it's just on printed paper this time. So make the dot triangle, join with wavy lines for the gnome hat. I've drawn this on a blank side of printed paper so it was easier to see and cut out. Once you have your gnome hat cut out, you can place the hat over the paper you want to use for the beard. Make your dot down the paper just like you did before. Draw wavy lines down from the hat, down to the beard dot, just like before, and cut those out too. Cut out a nose, just a circle. To judge how to draw the body or coat, put the beard cutout over the printed paper that you want to draw for his coat or use for his coat. Draw the body just as before. Draw the leaves just like before and cut those out. I cut out the sleeves separately before I figured out I could just draw the sleeves on before I cut out the body or coat part, so you can do it either way. And then to finish up, you cut out some little half circles for the gnome's hands from the same color paper that you used for his nose. Finally, the last step is that you glue all of your pieces together. Arrange them like you want first before you glued. I glued the gnome pieces to a sheet of cardstock. I drew on the mustache and some little feet with a marker afterwards, and you can see I added a little red pom-pom at the top of his hat. And that's it. That's how you can make your very own gnome for the holidays.